All right, the recording has started, and this is the August 25th, 2020 Rook Community Meeting. We will, as always, start with the milestone checkups. So we've got a couple of patch releases that are intending to go out today and tomorrow. Travis, do you want to catch us up on those, starting with 1.3?
Sounds good. 1.3, I think it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since we released. I'm losing track already. But we have had a few fixes backport, and I think it's just a good time to go ahead and refresh that to a .10 release. I honestly can't remember the issues that have been backported, but there have been a few.
Got it. So it's more of a, we skipped it a couple weeks ago or whatever. Let's go ahead and get one out there since there's some that are waiting to go out. They've been backported.
Yeah. And then for 1.4, we're coming up, well, maybe today's 2 weeks already. Or was it that Thursday last time? Anyway, it's about time to refresh for 1.4 as well. We do have some important fixes there. There's one more I do want to understand though before releasing, that one in the blocking release column with NFS Ganesha not working in 1.4. I haven't had a chance to dive into that one yet. So after understanding if that's really a blocker or what's going on there, we'll either fix it or go ahead with the release without it.
Got it. Has anyone been able to reproduce this yet, or hasn't been looked into yet?
No, it just hasn't been looked into.
Got it. Cool. Some good debugging information provided. Good ticket.
Right. Yep. Good detail on that.
Yeah. Good ticket.
So.
Great. Okay, then so at least we'll look into that, at least understand the scope or the severity or the likelihood of it impacting others, et cetera, before we move forward with the 1.4 release.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I'd really like to get the release out by tomorrow, either way, at least, if we don't have a fix. Or if it takes longer to get the fix, we can potentially get that in the next release because that feature is less used than, or not as common as others. But yep, I'll confirm or the severity of the issue before the release.
Cool, that sounds great. Any other comments on a 1.4 patch release from anyone?
That's all I have on that.
I would like to get the label pull request in if we are able to make it.
Yeah, that's ready for final review, right? I think
I think I addressed your last comments as well. It's just running one CI now. Yeah, I added the separate label and annotations for the prepared job. I just went also ahead and added it for the annotations. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll review it again right after this. And if you could also add it to the blocking releases column to make sure I don't forget about it.
Yeah, is it on the board right now at all, Alex? Or
I'm not sure.
Probably not.
No, I don't think so. And I still need to add the backport label, so I'll do that in a second.
Cool. Sounds good, Alex. Thank you. Okay. And then 1.5, we're still working towards that goal, the time frame of KubeCon North America virtual event, which is I think sometime in November. Right? Are the final final schedule for that released yet? Like which days it is?
I'm pretty sure I saw the dates announced. There's no, or talks haven't been announced yet, right? But I think I saw the dates, mid-November.
Yeah, talks have not been announced yet because I haven't gotten any rejection notices for the ones that I submitted. So
right.
I don't think the talks have been announced. Oh, November 17 to 20, it looks like.
Right. And on that topic, did we talk about this last time? We will have one Rook talk that we need to coordinate how to do that. We won't have a separate intro and deep dive on this occasion.
Right. I don't remember if we talked about it in the community meeting here, but I know that we had discussed that in some forum. which is totally fine. Do you remember the length of it, Travis? If it would be like is it a 90-minute thing, or is it just a single 35-minute session one?
I think it was just a single 35-minute.
Oh, okay.
That's my understanding.
Cool. So we can maybe compress some of the intro stuff and then go into a deep dive with the remaining time.
Right.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. Anything else about upcoming releases, either the patch releases for 1.3 and 1.4 or 1.5?
I have one small thing. Just realized that for the 1.41 release, maybe no, for the 1.42 release, maybe if I'm able to get a fix for at least like a partial fix for that. In Travis, if you remember, like the 6111 Ceph operator iterating over all nodes instead of just the OSD placement valid nodes. Mm-hmm. And my idea would be to, as I wrote it, as a first kind of quick fix, just reducing the just to reduce the amount of nodes it has to iterate over by switching it to the OSD placement only. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, if that's a simple fix,
second step, then good. Looking on. No. Yeah, it's basically one line. Like I already have it lined up. I just need to push it and make sure that nothing breaks in the test.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Was there an issue or a PR you were going to add to the Alex to the 1.4 board?
Yes.
Sweet.
Just a second and edit.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Cool.
Thanks.
All right, great, nice. All right, then we could move on to the community topics and questions section, I believe. So graduation, we are now up to 4 votes, which is all trending in the right direction. There are no that I'm aware of negative or -1 votes. So 100% of the votes coming in from the TOC have been affirmative. So that is good, at least to continue that trajectory, and no other update on that, that just continue waiting for the TOC to finalize or complete their voting. And no follow-ups on any other tasks or anything that I'm aware of at all.
Just the waiting game.
Just sit on your hands.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So KubeCon was last week. That was fun and interesting, I suppose. Thanks to everybody who helped out with talks or the booth or chat and Slack and all that sort of stuff. It was great to get some conversations going and have some people there. In the intro session that Alexander and I did, there are a fair amount of questions. So people seem to come prepared with some questions that they wanted to have answered, and some other questions too around, what is the value or messaging for Rook? Like, how is it different from like other storage systems? And it seems to be that there's somewhat of a lack of understanding about Rook's orchestration focus and benefits versus being a storage system itself. So there's some clarity that was needed around those things. Alex, do you have any other thoughts about the intro session, or Seb and Travis, any thoughts from your deep dive session?
Only for the intro part, not sure if you've just mentioned it, but like disaster recovery and backup restore were big topics. Yeah.
Yeah, good point, Alex. I did not mention that.
And I can just also confirm that at the new project I'm working on, that it's basically the same, like a project where we implement Rook Ceph at a company. And there's the same, like today we were like, yeah, and what would happen if Kubernetes, breaks and we need to reinstall? Would it just pick everything up? And like, nah, it's not that easy, but, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
Alex, what's the status of our documentation or our guide for like disaster recovery to come back from that? We have one. Yes.
We have one.
Is it up to date?
We're gonna find out probably till end of the week. We're gonna try that one out.
Oh, you're gonna walk through it and test it out?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
It will.
Oh, good. That's
It
great,
will be
man.
fun.
Yeah, oh yeah, real fun. I mean, hopefully this is a safe walkthrough, not a oh shoot, we really need this walkthrough.
Yeah, no, that's
Test environment.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, a trial run, as it were. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, that's it. Like, that's such a good thing to do. You know, like the philosophy of like chaos engineering, and you know, be prepared for emergencies before they happen, type of thing. So the lessons from that, or any issues you run into, will be fantastic to like either document and have guidance around how to work past those things, or if there's fixes that need to go in the code base, that's really good to be aware of those and get those patched as well too.
No. Yeah, exactly, like the labeling stuff that I'm currently working on is one of those, like they're doing the monitoring mostly based on labels. So on the pods instead of a service. So yeah. No.
Yeah, we've also had a long-standing work item around disaster recovery to simplify the steps for disaster recovery, because if you actually lose your whole Kubernetes cluster and etcd and everything right now, our steps walk you through how to do it, but it is a lot of tedious steps to recover, and we can do things to simplify that. So that's still on my radar. And yeah, Alexander, let's definitely chat to see how your experience goes.
The hell is this?
Yeah, there is a GitHub issue tracking that work item. I don't have it offhand.
Okie dokie.
Put it.
Yeah, sounds good. You can throw that in there. What were folks' experiences with the virtual booth and like the virtual experience of connecting with attendees and stuff? Did anyone have a positive experience with that? That thought it was like a good platform and great for that?
Oh wait, back to the deep dive first, if we could finish that topic.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you know, our experience in the deep dive, I think, was similar to your intro. There were a bunch of questions. We only had like 3.5 or 3 minutes at the end for verbal Q&A, so it was really short that way. But we only got about a dozen questions, and they were all really good questions. But we answered them all in chat, and then talked to a couple of them in the verbal Q&A. But overall, I mean, it was an interesting experience. Not near as good as being in person, but it was something at least.
Yeah.
Seb, what do you want to add?
Yeah, not much stuff. I don't think it was obviously, it wasn't as pleasant as being like on site, but we got like over 110 people at the peak of the presentation. It was good. I think decent enough, almost as what we get. I think maybe a little bit less, but was good. We got questions. We got like twice or third time questions over how can they migrate, how can they start using Rook by consuming existing clusters, how can basically adopt existing clusters and having them managed by Rook. So it was also interesting. Yeah, but didn't make any talks. Didn't make it into any talks. Didn't get too much, I guess. So
for other talks, yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think regarding questions, I think that's something that Alex and I kind of learned too. And then I was moderating a number of sessions as well. And so a lesson from that is that leaving more time for questions to go over questions live with the video Q&A would be a better approach. But it sounds like both of our recordings in the 35-minute session were like over 30 minutes. So leaving barely any time to do questions at the end. I think there's a lot of value that comes from that too. So I think maybe next time, well, if we're gonna stuff the intro and deep dive into a single session, maybe it won't be very easy, but a shorter recording to leaving more time for Q&A seems to be good. And like, I think there's more engagement on Q&A as well from the audience in the virtual talk experience, because it's a lot lower barrier to entry to people just type a question and they don't have to like, raise their hand and get a mic and talk in front of everybody, which is intimidating for a lot of people. So I think there's even more questions virtually.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, really.
Yeah, I think we should even target like a 20-minute recording for the next one, and lots of time for Q&A.
Yeah, I mean, for intro deep dive
We'll see.
combination, if there's only one Rook talk, then like Alex and I had like 3 pages of questions. It was like scrolling onto multiple pages and stuff. So
It was
4 or 5 pages.
It was even 4, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Uh,
So yeah, it sounds like we should probably take that into account and do a shorter recording for North America so that we can have time for Q&A about like video Q&A.
To be honest, like I'm not sure even are the people getting the response even if they leave the talk, because I think some people had like a green or something icon showing all the time, and some people had a green icon and then well, it went away or something. Do you know if the people got like the response even if they left the talk?
Oh, in terms of the text chat, Alex?
Probably
Yeah,
not.
to the responses. No, to your
Yeah, I doubt it. I don't think it follows them outside of the
yeah, well,
talk experience. I'm not sure.
okay, yeah, well, okay, yeah, well, more time for questions. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. And then on the question of booth interaction and things, I honestly didn't pay attention to it. Did anybody?
Yeah, I mean that experience is terrible, really, because like the ability to actually have an interaction with somebody who comes to the booth is very minimal. Because it's not like in person, you know, they walk up, they're looking at the stuff, like they're right there in front of your face. You can say hi, and then like it's fairly rude if they don't reply back to you, right? But in a virtual thing, like you send it, like the only option really that there is to send a chat request to them to, you know, say, hey, how's it going? Have you heard of Rook? Whatever. But a lot of the times it just says, you know, chat is waiting for a person to accept your request. So a lot of people are just like, oh no, I don't want to actually talk to somebody. And then, so you don't get very many engagements at all.
Yeah. So you actually tried it at least.
Yeah, tried it. Didn't have didn't have success. But I say, but though in hindsight though, that speaks to the necessity to have rich content for the booth itself, because people aren't going to be engaging a lot with you and getting into conversations. So at the booth, we need to have like the tabs filled out with like good links to good, you know, to places like, you know, like a Q&A or, you know, questions like facts, you know, things to get the content and information that they need. And it's a rich experience there. It's to augment the fact that people don't really seem to want to get into direct interactions.
Right. And we did have a Rook Slack channel created in the CNCF Rook or Slack, you know, and we got a few questions there, but not too many, honestly.
Yeah. Did we see? We can look in a bit, but do we have the overall number of Slack members on the general Rook Slack increase last week? Much?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Because I mean that's like, as a goal overall, you want the overall community to grow, right? And so people that are engaging just during KubeCon, that's one thing, but people that join the Rook Slack and like actually become part of the community to persist their participation beyond KubeCon is the real goal there, I guess. So seeing if the Slack members went up would be useful to see.
Right. Well, I see we had 3.5K Slack members when we released 1.4, and we're still at 3.5K. So it might have gone up a few, but nothing.
No, but not like a massive amount. Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, the investment, like not a huge return on investment for KubeCon virtual experience, I would say, but the talks are, I think, more valuable than the booth is.
Yep. I missed the in-person booth though, the non-virtual booth.
Yeah, that's way more fun.
Yep.
And stickers too.
Yeah, people are missing the stickers, I guess.
Yeah, that's the problem, is we don't have any stickers.
And if we had t-shirts to give out, yeah, we'd get a lot of people.
See, this is what's up. All right. Any other thoughts about your KubeCon experience last week? I think the sessions will be posted to YouTube in September.
That's it.
Yeah. One day, Monday, maybe it'll be safe to leave the house, Travis. Don't know when. Okay, cool. So Google Summer of Code, this is the final week. This week, Ahmad is intending to submit his summary of the work from the summer, and then next week are final evaluations. Let me write a note for that. Ahmad, I think you are on the call. Do you want to give us a quick update about what you're working on?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Jared. The issue about provisioner that shared underlying directory already merged, and this is a final week. So the final evaluation to mentor already open, and yeah, I also work on final evaluation, and also I have create a submission for this global summer of code in my repository. Yeah, that's one. And also I working on NFS design, this quota design document. That's still working on progress and need some detail.
Yep, that's this pull request here for the design of implementing a quota in NFS. And yeah, we got some comments on it, and we will, Ahmad will follow up to get that feedback incorporated and finish off this design. And so yeah, as Ahmad was saying, here's the, we have the link in the agenda document here for Ahmad's like summary of the final work, final submission. And this will be used as an input to the final evaluation as well. So yeah, the summer went by really fast, Ahmad. That it's already at the end of it here, which is unfortunate. Cool. Sounds great. Thanks, Ahmad.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Jared.
Okay. And then, so we'll do the evaluation next week. And so I've asked Ashish and Rohan as well to make supporting Ahmad this week on the final week of Google Summer of Code a priority, so that anything that Ahmad needs to get pull requests in or get feedback on things, that we're prioritizing that during his final week so that he can wrap up loose ends and get to the finish line on things. And then the evaluation next week will go great. I am confident. Okay, so there is a agenda item around CI issues as well.
Yep. Yeah, so Satoru brought this up in Slack yesterday, and I definitely agree with him that CI is a continuing issue. So some questions he brought up that I want to just point out. Well, in reverse order, maybe. First of all, I mean, we have an ongoing issue with the reliability of the tests. So intermittent tests are failing too often, and then it looks like an intermittent test, so we merge, and then occasionally master gets broken because it's not actually intermittent sometimes, but it looks intermittent. Anyway, so I don't have a good solution to that other than that we have to continue to be diligent in tracking down intermittent test failures. And that's definitely one of my priorities. And we need the help of everyone to make sure the quality stays high for the CI reliability, which also translates to, of course, better product and release reliability. Any other comments on reliability of the tests before we move to the other one?
Yeah, I just think that that's a really difficult problem. Travis, as you know, that even though we can, as a human, identify which ones are intermittent or which ones that we've seen from time to time, and that it's not a new issue, it's not a regression, so to speak. That it's still very difficult to identify, isolate, and fix the causes of the intermittent behavior. So it's definitely very challenging.
Yeah.
I don't really have a good solution either necessarily, but it's challenging.
Exactly. It's an ongoing thing. Every time we change code, we risk new intermittent issues too, so that they're not staying constant. Anyway, and then the other topic is really around how can we speed up the CI. PR builds are taking about an hour in general right now. And so one thing that, so Sebastian opened a PR still in progress. Do you want to talk to that one, Seb, and improvements you're looking at?
Yeah, so I think there are two things. So the first one is like one of the reasons why we want to get bigger instances is first, we believe that we are getting intermittent issues also because we are introducing timing issues because the VMs are not powerful enough. And that's why it's so hard to diagnose, and that's why it's so intermittent as well. So potentially having bigger instances would naturally solve some of the issues we are having in the CI, just by having more resources. And then the second one is obviously having shorter runtime of the overall pipeline. Then I started looking into that too, and just because every new PR, every new build is a fresh one, and nothing gets cached or anything like that. But also what I realized is that even though I'm sending a PR against a Ceph operator, the CI is building all the other backends as well, which is not necessary. So I've started looking at that, which should definitely improve the time we spend on building images first before testing the pipeline with that image. But still, I need to go back to it. So this comes with different flavors. One is only building a specific architecture, and the others is just building a specific operator.
And we have support for that in the make file already, right? That would just be like
we do, yeah.
Yeah, so we just need to hook it up to like the CI system to be able to understand what to build and to execute just on that.
Right, yeah. And I guess this really boils down to my Groovy's ability.
Groovy, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Nice.
So because of the Jenkins file.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think those are great investments, Sebastian. Like the headaches that are caused from CI/CD taking a long time, and and having flakiness, et cetera, is like definitely something that causes pain. So investments in that is really appreciated.
And so Upbound is paying the bill for the CI right now.
Yeah.
How would you feel about us bumping up the size of the instance one notch, and see how that impacts it, or whatever?
Yeah. I think honestly too, Travis. I think that the majority of the cost it comes from maybe EBS volumes. It's just storage related costs. I don't think I should follow up and look at the cost breakdown, but I don't think that the cost majority of it at least comes from instances or compute time. I think it's storage related costs. So
okay.
Let me take a look at that and see. Do you know which specific instance you would want to use? I wonder if like there's a little cost calculator or like a predictor forecast sort of thing that would help us understand what the impact of the bill would be.
Right. Let me double check in the Jenkins config what we're currently using, and then let's go from there.
Cool. Yeah, and if the storage costs are significant, there could be an opportunity to clean up storage that's not really necessary or not being used and reduce the bill that way, and then replace that cost savings with more CPU, more instant, more compute.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Let's let me look. I'll go ahead and fire up the cost analysis too, just to get that ready and stuff. See where we're at. Cool. Okay. Okay, then we can move on to release process topic as well, if we're done with CI.
Yeah. I mean, basically the topic is, so I've been doing most of the releases myself. Blaine has done some in the past. It's been a while since he's been involved either though. So Seb and I were talking about how to have him start doing that, but I'd like to really spread it even beyond, if we had 3 or 4 of us where we could rotate, we can share the load, and I think that would be nice. So I'm gonna go ahead with the releases this week though, and while I'm doing them, I'm going to create more detailed instructions with screenshots and created Google Doc and things. Thanks, Seb, for the idea. Just so we could make it easier to share that load. When we don't do releases very often, it's easy to forget the details. So I'll document that. And then we're also talking about just simplifying the release notes so we can generate them instead of a manual process to kind of format them, pretty print them.
Travis, how well have we been keeping up with keeping the pending release notes up to date so that when it's time for release, like things are well captured already?
Well, of course we could do better, but I think we do pretty well about that. We haven't had a lot in the pending release notes, honestly, because we've had more of a philosophy of, oh, this is just a small feature, let's backport it to the previous release. And then it's not in the pending release notes because we only use pending release notes for the next minor release, not the patch releases.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's actually a good point, right? So the patch releases, yeah, okay, good point.
Yeah, and then in the patch release notes, we always put individual PRs in the list, so you see all those features. Anyway, so yeah, I think it would be nice to automate how we generate those release notes, which means we need to make sure PR titles are descriptive enough for that. Yeah, Seb, you found a project that generated it from the PR titles in the release. That sounded pretty cool. I forget which project. The control runtime.
Control runtime. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that will be nice. But that's about it. Just an FYI and for those interested, we could use some help with the releases.
Awesome, that's great. Okay, and then it looks like another one got added to the agenda here about the roadmap being updated for 1.5.
Yeah, this is just a follow-up from our last meeting too. Yep, we still need to update the roadmap, but I haven't even started on it yet since we had KubeCon and all that. And so if you have thoughts for the roadmap, let me know, or just open a PR directly on that roadmap.md. So that's it.
Cool. Okay, so that is the end then of the agenda items that were in the doc. Does anybody have any other further topics for discussion or agenda items that did not make it into the doc? All right, then we can go ahead and wrap up for the week, and we will see each other in 2 weeks again at the community meeting.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, thanks everybody. Take care.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.